So in this IGTV episode, we're going to talk about your story of the past, your past self. Are you clinging on? Are you holding on to the past? If so, we're going to talk about ways how you can break free from that old story you keep telling yourself. Hi, I'm Julian, and I teach people how to master their inner world. I do that for a company called Amstermind, where we talk all about everything that goes on inside of you. And oftentimes, we as people, we can be very stuck in the past. We can be very stuck in the past stories about ourselves, stories about our life, stories about events that happened, that we keep holding on to them. We keep clinging to them as if that's who we are. And that sometimes prevents us from moving forward, from becoming that future self that is living his or her full potential. And that's what I want to talk about. So if I think about myself, I had an experience where I was very miserable. I was very miserable in my life because I was doing a job which I hated. And that cost me a lot of energy to make it fun, because you try to make it fun when you feel like that's a bad job. Then I had this attitude of, okay, let's make it fun. But that cost me a lot of energy. And because of that, every time when I had free time, I was just partying and just doing all kinds of things to escape from myself and to escape from the reality, because I was not happy with what I was doing in life. So that can be a story you tell yourself about yourself, right? Maybe you have been doing that for a long time, whatever it is, right? I was doing that for a long time. So I could say to myself, that's who I am. That's just my life. That's my identity. And when you say that, that's going to be your default identity for the rest of your life. If you've never changed that, if you always tell yourself that that's the story of who you are, then you will never change. And then you won't ever get to live in that future where you are getting more fulfillment in life. And there's a lot of other examples where you may be holding on to a story of the past, of where you say that you're just that kind of person who is always unlucky. Or maybe you've had many failed relationships and then you say, oh, that's something that always happens to me. Or maybe you always meet the wrong kind of man, or always meet the wrong kind of women. Then, if that's the story you tell yourself, then that's what's most likely going to happen. That's how it works. That's how our vibration works. That's how we attract things to us. It's basically by our beliefs. And if we believe in a story and we say that's who we are, then that's exactly what you're going to get. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what you see so many times. I've spoken to so many women who always said, well, I always meet the bad guys, or all men cheat on me, or whatever it is. And they get cheated on. And that's no surprise. They attract what they are after. I mean, they attract that story. They tell themselves that's what they attract. So is there a story in your life which you're holding on to? I was holding on kind of to that story which I told you about. But at a certain moment, the pain of that story was just too much for me. And I found a way to break free. I found a way to change my life and to go for what I want. And it wasn't easy. And it's still not easy. It's never easy, but it doesn't matter. There is no alternative. If you keep telling yourself that wrong story, you're never going to change. So you need to change the story. Your identity is not something that's so solid. A lot of people seem to think that, especially the older they get. They think this is who I am. But it doesn't work like that. You can mold who you are. You can decide who you want to be. You can decide what your best version looks like, and then tell yourself that story. That's who you are. Even if your senses tell you different, even if your environment keeps telling you, no, this is who you are, because you're going to be tested. If you change the story of who you are for yourself, you're going to be tested. That's how it works. Your old reality will try to hold you down, will try to keep you in place. Your friends will say, oh, what are you doing? You're crazy. And they will try to hold you down. Most people, at least. If you have some good friends, they might not. But most of the time, this is what happens. Your family will try to hold you down. The things that will happen will try to hold you down. But this is where you are tested. This is where reality, this is where the universe will test you. And is this really what you want? Are you really ready for this change? But if you keep believing in that story will become reality. As long as you go for it. And if you don't go for it, then you will keep getting what you've always been getting. So if you're stuck right now, or if you have something where the same things keep happening to you, or you're just holding on to that old story, just try to let it go. It's just a story. Things don't have to be like that. Even if you have these beliefs and you have 1,000 references of where it was that case, it's not true. You can always change the meaning. You can always change your story, and in that way change your life and change who you are and into who you want to become, into who you should become, because that's possible, because that inner voice inside of you says that it's possible, and then it is possible as long as you believe it. Anyway, this was my rant for today. I hope you got some value from it. Give me a like if you got some value, and comment if you have a question about something, and spread the word about this, and follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you soon.